As I'm sure most of you have seen by now, Konami updated the Forbidden Limited list with new cards, PogChamp, and among them, two cards in particular to scare a Yugi boomer. Zoodiac Ratpier is coming off the list to 1, and then Zoodiac Barrage is being completely unlimited. You can run 3 copies of Barrage, which has not been a thing since what, Zoodiac was like tier 0 or something, like way back in 2017. It's funny, in TGE they limited Barrage back to 1 for a little bit, and then when Zoodiac was still arguably the best deck of that format, and they banned it and Dryden again because it was still apparently too good. But yeah, in Master we're gonna get the play with 3 Barrage. So now let's cover what you can potentially do with this in this format, because these cards are definitely gonna be playable, and they're gonna make a much more of a difference than I believe the Dragon Rulers will. So first of all, because Barrage is at 3 now, this opens up something that wasn't possible for basically since tier 0 format was tier 0 Zoodiac, was that you can now sort of use Zoodiacs as a splashable engine. Since Barrage is essentially, it is at worst, like at minimum, is an E-Telly for Zoodiac monsters. And unlike other, rank 4 or like engines that summon level 4 monsters from the deck, like Ready Fusion or stuff, the monster you summon off of Barrage is actually extremely relevant. For one, you can straight up, you can just turn it into a Dryden from tier underneath, so that's just a free pop, a quick play pop that you can get without running really any bricks at all. Like you're just running 3 Barrage and 1 Zoodiac monster at minimum, and then you don't have to run like DBE bricks or like Verge Anaconda or stuff like that. And going second, it enables you to threaten Zeus without the need to use your normal summon. And not just a Zeus, threaten a 4 material 2 activation Zeus. And like theoretically, like what deck can't make advantage of this? For 4 deck spots, you get a pop or a Zeus play that doesn't cost you a normal summon, so it doesn't conflict with any of your deck's main strategies unless you lock yourself, of course. And even then, you can most likely still lead with Barrage to bait out interaction if you do have a lock, or you can throw this at the end if you don't and just overwhelm them with Zeus. And the main thing about this engine, the specific Zoodiac monster I chose is, so a lot of people might think to use Whiptail instead of Thoroughblade, and I'm only using 1 for now because you probably don't want to normal summon your Zoodiac monster, since like if you're talking about just this application, this engine application in any deck, most decks have a normal summon that's better than normal summoning a Zoodiac monster, so you really just want to run the 1 copy you have to be able to summon off of Barrage, just as a free special summon that doesn't conflict with your other normals. In which case, I think Thoroughblade has a slightly more value than Whiptail. Yes, Whiptail does have an effect to banish, which is somewhat relevant going second. But at the same time, if you're going second, I feel like 90% of the time, just having the ability to threaten Dryden in the Zeus is already enough. You don't need to use Whiptail to also attack and banish a targeted monster, since you could, you're attempting to wipe the board anyways. And Thoroughblade is good for when you're breaking on this engine, such as when you're opening multiple Barrage, because Thoroughblade you can just discard if you draw any extra copies of Barrage, or if you want to run more copies of Zoodiac monsters, right? Because your deck isn't as normal summon reliant and you want to run more monsters. Just having the Barrage access lets you discard extra Zoodiac cards and extra Barrages. So it really, there's no downside to even running 3 of this at all, since you're never going to brick on it if you just have Thoroughblade to cycle through extra copies of Barrage at worst to draw more cards. And for the extra deck, I just run these 5 requirements. Obviously, you need the Dryden and the Zeus, and then I put these 4 on these 3 since putting 4 Zoodiac monsters gives you a 5 material Zeus, which means that if you use Dryden once to bait an interaction first, you can still end on a 4 material Zeus after using Dryden once if you run 4 Zoodiac monsters. So that's probably the minimum Zeus I would run. Extra points bonus if you're also a rank 4 deck, which also synergizes with the Barrage Engine, since you also Thoroughblade is a rank 4. It is a level 4. You can sometimes hard make Chalk9 with your net deck anyways, and then you can access the Zoo engine that way. And again, this is just the engine standalone, independent of any synergies with your main deck. Dryden, Zeus, for free. Now, if you're a deck that can, for example, take advantage of Barrage and take advantage of Dryden's ability to pop your own cards, then it gets even crazier. So, for example, one deck I'm thinking of is, obviously, Tiarmans are strongest. Don't focus too much on this specific deck list. This deck list is going to change a lot with the new pack and with, Barrage being legal. If I ever get the UR, I will definitely test the Zoodiac engine here. But again, tier cards have synergy with being popped with Barrage. So let's look at Unlimited. Zoodiac. Barrage can pop your own cards, and Dryden can pop your own cards. So you can, if you, for example, if you have a Scream left over, if you have a face-up Zoodiac, if you summon Sharon and you just have a random Sharon on board with, any Aquas or any Rhino Hearts in grave, you could Barrage, pop your own tier card, get value out of that, special summon your Zoo monster from the deck, overlay a Dryden on top of your Zoo monster, and now you have a second pop. So you can, and then, for example, let's say you pop your Sharon and you made a Kaleido Heart, thanks to the Barrage tricking your own Sharon. Now you can, the Dryden that you just made off of the Zoodiac you summoned, you can now Dryden pop the Kaleido Heart, and you can get more effects that way, and plus that way. Additionally, the Zoodiac engine, popping your own fusions, it helps you trigger Cross Shape a lot easier. Additionally, this is a rank 4 deck. It has Snow, it has 6 normal summon level 4s that are hand trap bait. It has the Sharons, which is searchable in many ways. So Barrage being able to pop your own cards and then also just summon a level 4 body from it. You don't have to go into Zoodiacs, even though it's what you're going to go into a lot. You can go into other rank 4s, just Barrage summoning a Thoroughblade to allow you to make Redoer with Sharon or Dugaris, which if we get Trivia Karma and you have a Trivia Karma in hand, that's a way, that's just more utility. And with Barrage, I would also add Baguska somehow into the deck, since then when you get Shifter, now you have a super just reliable way to make Baguska, which beats all the Shifter decks, or at least it guarantees you survive a turn under Shifter, and then it passes back to you and the Shifter's gone, and then you can just play without dealing with the Shifter anymore for free because of the Zoodiac cards providing you an extra level 4 body easily. Well, yeah, there's lots of potential synergy here. I don't know the exact ratios I will play. Maybe you would run more than one Zoo monster in case you mill it, but definitely there's some potential here. And it's not just here. There are plenty of other decks that benefit from you being able to pop your own cards. Oh, and by the way, the utility of making an easy Zeus with Barrage now, Zeus also triggers your own tier cards, and it triggers all of them. So if you have a Scream, a Trap set, and leftover Bugging field, and then you can facilitate a Zeus with the Zoodiac engine, then you just trigger all those effects at once, and it even helps skill for game because you can pop your own tier fusions in the battle phase to attack multiple times. There's actually just so much synergy, more synergy that I'm thinking about that I'm just realizing right now. And obviously, you know, if you're playing a pendulum deck, you know, if Super Heavy Samurai comes out with Wakaushi, you can pop your own scales, get value that way. You're playing Metal Foes, Barrage, Zoodiac. Who remembers Zoodiac Metal Foes? Except now they also have access to Promethean Princess, so now you have more things you can pop. And with the new Vanadium cards coming out, such as Vanadium Meeks, you can Barrage, pop your Meek, which triggers your own Meek, and then you can combo that way. And then you can also use your Dryadens to pop your Scareclaw Lighthearts in your extra monster zone without needing the Visa Starfrost, so that you can free it up in case, you know, if they Veiler or they Imperm your Lightheart, the fact that you can just have an engine that just pops it out of the zone for free, and then you can make a Lightheart again, since Lightheart is not once a turn, since now the extra monster zone is free since you popped the card, and now it's also in the grave, so that when you add the field spell to search Visa Starfrost, now when Visa summons itself, the Scareclaw Lightheart you popped can be summoned back from the grave. Like, just the plays are endless. And obviously this is talking about the Zoodiac engine with other decks. You could also just straight up play the Zoodiac cards by itself as a deck pure. Alright, so this is what a pure Zoodiac deck might look like. Yes, this is one of those decks. So let's get this out of the way. There's way more non-engine than there is engine, and it's fine. This is where Ratpier comes in, because if you've read Ratpier, the reason I didn't mention Ratpier with using the Barrage engine like as an engine in other deck is because Ratpier's effect to foolish Zoodiac monster, or Zoodiac card, excuse me, it only triggers on normal summon. So obviously, if your goal is to summon your Zoodiac monster off Barrage, there's no point having Ratpier. That won't do anything. That's why we selected other Zoo monsters. But yeah, this deck is not a combo deck whatsoever. There's maybe like 2 or 3 combos you need to know, and like that's it. After that, you can play the deck like almost fully. It's just about playing interaction based Yu-Gi-Oh, like based on what your opponent is, instead of like comboing off and auto winning turn 1. Because most of the time you're just going to be some form of Dryad passing turn 1, and then holding off with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, 22 non-engine slots. You don't have to run like the 20 hand trap that I'm running. You could run blowouts if you want. You can run floodgates if you want. If you want a blind second, you can blind second and run stuff like Pankratops. You know, and I'm just showing that the amount of room in this deck, while still being consistent, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have like what, 15 starters that are all 1 card starters, 1 card full combos, and by full combo I usually just mean Trident. That's enough. The fact that Barrage is an extender, the fact that this deck does not play into hand traps whatsoever, like plays into hand traps better than basically any other deck in the game. And it's super consistent. It allows you to just you know, stop your opponent from playing, because guaranteed you're gonna have more non-engine than any other deck in the game. And some decks you're probably gonna have more non-engine than they have engine cards, period. So the map is in your favor. Well, in terms of the actual like Zoodiac lineup, you run the Whiptail and you run Thoroughblade, and you run the 1 Ratpier you're allowed to run now since they're the best ones. And then you don't want to run too many Zoodiac monsters, because you don't want to like brick on just having Zoodiacs in hand. You want your non-engine in hand. Your ideal turns are one Zoodiac monster, maybe 2 for follow-up, and then the rest is just non-engine and like hand traps and all that other stuff. So the other 3 other Zoodiacs are 2 Ramram, because we run Pod of Desires, so you don't want to banish both Ramrams because Ramram really rocks, and I'll show you in the quote-unquote combos later. And the one Bunnyblast. This card has a protection effect. All the Zoodiac monsters have, like, give your Zoodiac Xyz a sort of bonus effect on them. Thunderblade gives your Zoodiac Xyz piercing, which is not really relevant. Whiptail is the one most people know about, which is just banishes the monster after battle. That's probably the best effect. Ramram gives trap protection, a targeting protection, basically imperm. So if you make a Trident under Ramram, it's unimpermeable. Unimpermeable. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. And then Bunnyblast it's basically Ramram for spells. So Bunnyblast is like the least relevant of the protection effects, since that really only comes up in the Runic matchup, and we all know what happened to Runic in the ban list. So Bunnyblast is more for its effect when it's popped. Since when it's popped, you can add back basically a Zoodiac card. Most of the times, a Zoodiac monster from your grave to your hand, and that's also part of one of your turn 1 plays, where you just add follow-up back for a next turn, which is the main reason you run it. You don't really run it for the protection effect, although if you do play against Runic Stun, it does come up. And for the extra deck, obviously Dryden is a 3, so you probably want to run 3 Dryden. It is the best one, and then 2 of each of the other ones except Hammercon. Hammercon is the worst one, comes up the least. Because Bravo's banned, you can't really make a 6 material Zeus too easily without access to Whiptail. So, being able to do that twice is not really relevant. Of 4 or 5 material Zeus is going to be enough most of the time. And then, obviously, the Zeus, at least 1 Vespinata. You could probably run more. This is just a way to push damage. Since there's one thing this deck lacks, is the ability to put up damage easily. Since your stat lines are just based on your main deck Zoodiac monsters, and your main deck Zoodiac monsters, as you can tell, do not have the most attack in the game, even when boosted 100 by Tenki. So being able to just easily stick a Vespinato onto it for an actual attack stat to do damage with is nice. Then UDF package. Don't try to I will say do not try to pigeonhole yourself to doing Utopic Draco Future, summoning this every game. Technically, normal summon Ratpier gets you to UDF, but a lot of times it's better to just go for a Trident and then add back Bunnyblast follow-up, or use Ramram for protection, since Trident is good enough into most matchups. It doesn't play as much into hand traps as going into a UDF potentially would. Although there are 2 card combos where you can end on both UDF and a live Trident. So in those cases, yeah, definitely. And it's okay as follow-up if you know the card's really good in the matchup. At the end of the day, this is just 1 interruption, and Trident is also 1 interruption. They're just different types of interruptions. So it's not like this is the end-all be-all. It's not like you're playing Ghost Straight Pearly or anything. And then I think 1 Megaclops is good to have. You're definitely not making this turn 1. This is not good against most decks, actually. In fact, it's probably, that I think about it, it's only good against potentially Dragon Link. So you don't even, this is definitely not needed, but in turns 3, when you know what you're playing against, and if Megaclops solos the matchup, there's an easy line you can go into Megaclops now with Rat Legal as well. And also I should mention that, so any combo you need Rat for, it can be replaced with Thoroughblade and whichever Zoodiac Rat would dump. So for example, if you need Ratpier to dump Ramram for the combo, then Thoroughblade plus Ramram also does the same. It's just it's a 2-card combo. So instead of Ratpier, which is a 1-card combo. Same with Thoroughblade plus Bunnyblast. The turn 1 play where you Ratpier dump Bunnyblast to add follow-up. can be done with Thoroughblade plus Bunnyblast as well. So I guess I'll show you those combos right now. So we're in EDO Pro now. Since Ratpier and Barrage are technically not legal in Master Duel yet, we're gonna show off the combos here. And I'll show you the combos you can do with just a normal summon Ratpier. And this is exactly the hand you want to see. 4 hand traps with a normal summon. Excellent. So normal Ratpier, and you have 2 options here. You can usually either choose to dump a Ramram or a Bunnyblast. And I'll show off both of these combos here. So first we'll show off Bunnyblast. You're going to dump Bunnyblast. You're going to overlay Chakanine on top of the Ratpier. And Chakanine effect. Detaching Ratpier, special summon back Bunnyblast. And now you're just going to overlay Zoos, as many Zoos as you want on top of your Chakanine, just to give your Dryden as many materials as possible. So there's a Borbo, and there's a Tiger Mortar. And since I only run one Hammer Kong, I'll just save it in the extra for later, and I'll overlay Dryden now. And now I'm going to go into end phase. I want to go into end phase because doing so, it plays around Nibiru and it plays around stuff like Valor, since they would have to chain it before leaving the end phase, and then you can chain Trident to pop your Bunnyblast, and I'll show you. And that way, you can basically make Valor and Nibiru effectively super ineffective against you. They're just gonna minus, since you're gonna plus off the Trident. So you're gonna use Trident's effect, detaching any of these Zoos, and then you're gonna pop the Bunnyblast. When Bunnyblast is popped, you get to add a Zoodiac card from your grave to your hand. So here we're gonna add back Ratpier. And now, with the one Ratpier, you have a Trident, and you have a Ratpier added back for follow-up on the next turn. So you have guaranteed follow-up from this play. And again, that's one card. You have 4 other cards in your hand, and if they're hand traps, you're golden. So here, exact same hand as last combo, and I'm going to show you what you can do with dumping Ramram instead of Bunnyblast. There's a couple deviations you can do with this depending on your hand, so I'll try to show them all. You're going to use Ratpier to dump Ramram. Now you're going to overlay Chakanine on top of the Ratpier. It starts the same. So now, obviously, you're going to use Chakanine to revive to Ramram. And here, I will overlay a Orbo on top of the Chakanine just to get an extra material. And then we're going to overlay into Trident. So Trident now is going to detach Chakanine. Specifically has to be Chakanine, or ideally it should be Chakanine. It doesn't matter necessarily in this line, but it's just good habit. And you're going to pop Ramram, and then Ramram is going to trigger to summon back Chakanine. And here, you can do stuff like you can potentially Tiger Mortar to attach a material on Chakanine, and then summon back another Zoo monster. That's a line, but I don't like doing that if all I had was one Zoo monster in hand. So instead, since this is turn 1, I'm going to just directly overlay Tiger Mortar on top of Chakanine. Then I'm going to use Tiger Mortar's effect, detaching Chakanine, to put a Ramram underneath, right, just for the extra stat boost. Then I'm going to overlay Hammer Kong on top of Tiger Mortar. So this is the line you can do if you choose to dump Ramram instead of Bunnyblast, instead of adding the Ratpier back in hand to follow up. Now you have a Trident that's, well, it is protected from traps, from targeting traps because of Ramram, but it's double protected because now you have a Hammer Kong, and Hammer Kong prevents your Zoodiac Exceeds monsters from being targeted. So yeah, that's the other line you can do. So now Trident is beefy, it has 2k defense, so it's harder to run this over, so now it's harder to bait out the Trident effect. And obviously Hammer Kong is not long for this world. It's gonna detach material in the end phase, and then it's probably gonna die anyways. But yeah, the point of this is to have a beefy Dryden turn 1. Now I'm gonna show another Ratpier line, except this time it's Ratpier plus access to Whiptail. Now this could be tanky, this could be Barrage. You know, you could hard rod 3 of Whiptail. There's a lot of ways to get the Whiptail if you have a Ratpier already, and vice versa. So this is going to be a line where you dump Ramram. Now I'm going to overlay Chakanine on top of the Ratpier. I'm going to activate Chakanine to summon Ramram. And here, it doesn't matter if you summon the Borbor or not, since spoilers, this Dryden is not going to stay here. So you're just going to Dryden on top of the Chakanine, activate Dryden, detach Chakanine, pop Ramram. Then Ramram effect is going to trigger, and you're going to special Chakanine. And now, instead of overlaying a Tiger Mortar on the Chakanine to give your Dryden a material, now you're going to overlay a Tiger Mortar on top of your Dryden. And you're going to detach Dryden to attach to Chakanine to give a Chakanine material. Now you're going to use Chakanine's effect, detaching Dryden, and you want to special summon back the Dryden. So this is the other route I was talking about. This is Ratpier also gets you just 3 bodies on board. And these monsters are all Xyz. So you know what that means, right? One is you can make Megaclops right here. If this was like turn 3 and you know what your opponent's playing and you know Megaclops is crazy in the matchup, you can go for Megaclops here, but obviously if this is turn 1, you do not go for Megaclops, since there's just too many decks that just really do not care about Megaclops at all. So instead, here you can do Utopic Draco Future. Here's where I like doing Utopic Draco Future. Since before, you would have to basically choose between a live Dryden or UDF. Here, you have a Dryden left over. And this is why the Whiptail is important. Because obviously, this Dryden would do absolutely nothing and it's just kind of pointless if you just made the UDF before and you didn't have Whiptail. But now, because you have Whiptail too, you have a live Dryden and you have a Utopic Draco Future. And you can, you know, this is pretty telegraphed, but you can also just hide the fact that you have Zoodiac Whiptail. Like, say, go for your opponent's turn, and then wait for until they have something you want to pop. And then you can, when that happens, you can just attach Whiptail onto a Dryden. It also works if they want to, you know, attack into you with something that they're, you know, just to attack over the Dryden, and then you can attach Whiptail onto it, and instead of popping it, you can just have their monster that's attacking your Dryden get banished instead, and they don't see that coming too. That's also another line. And if you have Barrage, you know, Barrage would just pop itself to summon the Whiptail, and you could attach the Whiptail to the Dryden that way. That also works. But yeah, with 2 cards, now you have 2 interruptions, Draco Future plus Dryden, and Draco Future we know is kind of hard to deal with if it's backed with a lot of protection, which this deck will definitely have because it runs so much non-engine. So here's a bonus, since I know people will probably be asking me about Zoodiac Tri-Brigade. Now, I don't super recommend playing this deck in soon-to-be the year of our Lord and Savior 2024, but definitely Ratpier coming back is like a huge buff to this deck, because previously the lines where you would be needing 3-card combos and you would need to run a lot more Zoodiac monsters, since you need Thoroughblade plus dumping Ramram and stuff like that to get your best combos. Now you can just accomplish that with Ratpier. So you can just streamline your deck a lot easier. You know, tankies at 3. So Ratpier plus a Tri-Brigade name, so just kits and nerve all the best ones, but you can do this with any Tri-Brigade name. You're gonna normal summon Ratpier, and Ratpier is gonna dump Ramram. Next, you're gonna Chakanine over the Ratpier. Then activate Chakanine, detaching Ratpier, special Ramram, and then special Dryden on top of the Chakanine. And you're gonna Dryden pop the Ramram and activate Ramram to summon back the Chakanine. And next you're gonna overlay Tiger Mortar on top of the Drydens. Then activate Tiger Mortar, detaching Dryden and putting a material underneath Chakanine. And then you're gonna use Chakanine, detach, and summon back Dryden. This Dryden is the only one where the zone matters. Just think of it as you're playing normal Tri-Brigade zones and which zone you want to leave free to do your Tri-Brigade plays. So we're gonna summon Dryden back here. And this is the main way you want to start off with the Zoodiac package in Tri-Brigade. You get these 3 bodies here, you know, similar as to shown before with the dumping Ramram line. Now you can link Chakanine and Tiger Mortar into Ferroheat. And now Ferroheat is going to special summon the Tri-Brigade name you have in hand. In our case, it's going to be Kit. So you're going to special Kit, and now look in the grave. When you look at that, that's 4 Beast Warrior monsters in the graveyard. So now you're going to use Kit effect. Banishing 4. And you're going to summon Shrag. And don't use the Shrag effect, and you're going to link summon into Bearbrum with the Kit and the Shrag. And then Shrag is going to trigger. Activate Shrag and activate Kit. Kit will dump Nerval, and then Shrag, you can either search DD Crow or Whiptail as your interruption of choice. The DD Crow, you know, as a hand trap, or the Whiptail to attach to the Dryden. So let's just add Whiptail, for example, and then Nerval is going to trigger since it was linked away. And you can just add any old Tri-Brigade monster for follow-up. Or you can just add it to put back with Bearbrum when you search Revolt. And next you're gonna link. If you search Whiptail, you link Bearbrum and Ferroheat into Appaloosa. If you search DD Crow, you can also link away the Dryden, since it won't do anything without a Whiptail. So Appaloosa, and now you can use 2 triggers. Ferroheat and Bearbrum. So Bearbrum is gonna get your Revolt, and let's put back this driver and trigger Ferroheat and put back another Gamma. And you can also now attach Whiptail to the Drydens and then set Revolt. So now you have the standard Zoodiac line. Now you have Appaloosa with a Revolt Search and a Dryden Pop that also has a Whiptail attached to it, and you had follow up. And you still have 2 other cards in hand that could be any hand traps or non-engine. And this is just the most basic of the basic, like just the most streamlined deck for Tri-Brigade Zoo. You can add more text, you can maybe add Cerberus, or you can do Scareclaw stuff or whatever. Add anything to spice up the combo, but just at a minimum, you still get this, which is like 3 interruptions plus 2 extra cards in hand. So it's not bad. It's certainly better than what Tri-Zoo was doing before, I would wager. Well, yeah, there you have it. Expect to see these cards on ladder soon. I'm not gonna just go ahead and say that this is gonna be like a top tier deck or anything, or that this engine is gonna be a staple in every deck. I'm not saying that, but don't be surprised if you see a couple deck lists in the top 100 of the DC Cup coming later this month with running a few Zoodiac cards in them. Or if not, just full-blown running pure Zoodiac Warcrime hand traps, similar to what you see here. Or even more Warcrime, maybe some Floodgates. Which is a bit troll despair, but that is an option. And that is the advantage of Zoodiac, which is the versatility of non-engine you can run.